So I just saw Weapons, the new horror movie written and directed by Zach Cregger that everyone is raving about, and I will say that it's okay. I do not think it's worth the crazy hype that it's getting, but there are a lot of good things about the movie. It's well acted, it's interestingly shot. I thought it did a really good job at the start of creating moments of mystery and suspense. There are a lot of really good tension-filled sequences. Moments of levity that oftentimes really irritate me in horror movies I thought worked really well here. But here's what I think the main issue is with the movie, and these are kind of light spoilers. If you're like me and you don't want to know anything about a movie when you go in, then probably don't watch this. But the movie is structured in basically five chapters that each follow a different character in the film. And it's trying to do that thing where we loop back to events we've already seen before in the movie, but now as we go through every character's perspective, we gain new context for those situations, for those scenes. The problem for me in this movie is I felt that after looping through each character, we weren't gaining that much new context for scenes that we were revisiting, so it felt like we were wasting a lot of time revisiting scenes without much payoff for revisiting them. And then for me, that made the runtime feel kind of bogged down and sluggish, and I think this movie could have done for a lot of editing. And I realized that Zach Cregger also did Barbarian, which I disliked, I think, kind of for the same reasons. I realized that Barbarian is also broken down into chunks. The story is segmented where you will just jump to a completely new thought, and that movie is also sort of done in chapters. And then I realized Zach Cregger was a writer for the sketch comedy show The Whitest Kids You Know, and that makes sense because if his foundation is in writing sketch comedy, which is like short, truncated thoughts, it makes sense that he's writing these movies where it's broken down into different chapters. I personally didn't like it because I feel like it was breaking down the momentum as the story went. And then the other problem I have with this movie is I feel like there were so many plot holes and like gaping inconsistencies in logic that were so big that they just destroyed my enjoyment of the movie. I'm not going to go into what those plot holes were because I'm not going to totally spoil the movie. But I realized I had actually all the same problems with Barbarian. The ending of that movie also sort of ruined it for me. At both the beginning of Barbarian and the beginning of Weapons, I was very intrigued. The first, I'm going to say at least 1/3, 2/3 of Weapons, I was really intrigued and really interested in how they were unfolding this mystery thriller, and I was ready to see what happened, but the ending kind of killed it for me. Also, I will say the cops in this movie in Weapons have to be the most inept police force that has ever been put to camera in a movie. Yeah, so if you just want to be entertained, go see Weapons, but it's not like the masterpiece of the year like a lot of people are saying. At least not in my perspective. Okay, bye.